Well, hey there guys, this is Paul from Southern Maryland Divers. We're here with another product review video. Really excited to show you guys the Divesoft Trimix analyzers. We just started carrying them, just became a dealer for Divesoft. They're a relatively new company in the industry, but they're coming out with some really great products that I think are going to change the industry for the better. And so the first product that we're going to review today is the Divesoft Solo Analyzer. So one thing about analyzers are that you can get them in all kinds of different flavors, but most of them are just going to be a oxygen sensor used for analyzing nitrox, or in the case of decompression gases, a higher amount all the way up to 100% of oxygen. Well, all of the Divesoft analyzers, from the Solo, which is the one we're going over today, their base model, all the way up to the Set Blender Max, which we'll do a review on that as well, all are Trimix analyzers. And so you can get an analyzer for actually very good price that will grow with you for your diving. If you ever get into using mixed gas with some helium in it, this will work with that. And there's some really cool stuff about that you really won't have to take into account later on because of some of the technology that's in this analyzer. And so I'm going to go over that real quick with you. So we're going to unbox this from the way it comes. As you can see, it comes in a nice padded case here. And there's the Solo Analyzer. Okay, so what I mentioned about the technology, up until Divesoft came out with their stuff, analyzers all used electromechanical sensors, which this one does do as well. So the oxygen part of this, the oxygen sensor that analyzes the oxygen content of the mix, is actually an electromechanical sensor. And so it gets replaced every 2-3 years. Whenever you start having problems with it, it'll get replaced. Where the tech really gets interesting in this is that the helium sensor in here is solid state. And when I say solid state, that means it will never ever need to be replaced. And there are no other Trimix analyzers on the market right now that I'm aware of that have that technology. And so, for instance, there's another one that we use where that helium sensor would need to be replaced. Now, the helium sensors generally last a fairly good amount of time longer than an oxygen sensor. However, this one will never be able to, never need to be replaced. And the technology behind that's really cool. So it actually measures the speed of sound between two different microphones in there to tell you the mix that's in there for the helium portion of it. And so, yeah, so here's the sensor itself. The Solo is made out of an ABS plastic. It comes with a charging cable here, and that's just a standard USB to USB-C cable. You could use one if you had one available, and there's the charging port. This is the inlet for where the air will come in as you analyze, and then it will exit through the exhaust on the side here. And it comes with this adapter that you use on the side here. And then you would put this up against the tank valve and flow your mix in there, and it would analyze. So turning it on, you're going to see it comes with a nice bright screen there. Gives you the battery status. It is a rechargeable battery. Probably hear that clicking noise. That's actually the sound it uses to measure the helium in there. So that's what's making that clicking noise. As you can see right now, it is saying that this is air. That's because we're sitting here in ambient air. It gives you an MOD and at the partial pressure of 1.6 and an END as well, which is really cool. Another really neat feature about this guy is that it has, when you calibrate it, it has 3-point calibration, which means that for just a regular, lower nitrox mix, you could just calibrate it to the ambient air here, and that would be a 1-point calibration. If you had a higher oxygen mix, you want a more accurate reading, a super accurate reading, you could do a 2-point calibration. That would be calibrating to air and then calibrating to 100% oxygen. And then the 3-point calibration would be used in the case of using it for helium, in which case the 1 point would be, the first point would be air, second point would be oxygen, and the third point would be known gas with no oxygen content in it at all. In the case of helium, we would use 100% helium, or even argon, something that has no oxygen in it at all. So it gives you a super detailed readout. It is recommended to do a 3-point calibration anytime you're going to be using a trimix with 15% or less oxygen in it. And you can see it has different modes here to where you can scroll through and it'll show different screens of what it's calibrating. Very, very, very accurate analyzer, and for the price, you just can't beat it. It's just a great price point on this guy for a trimix analyzer. This is their base model, and so this would be perfect for most recreational divers, or even somebody starting to get into some light tech that might know that they're going to go on to the some deeper stuff where you're going to be using some helium, and then you can move on. We'll go over the next step up from this on our next review video. So really just a great product. Relatively small for a trimix analyzer, so most of them, the other ones that we see on the market, are larger, and it works really well. We've used one in the shop over the last couple weeks, and I've been really happy with it. So we have these, well, we don't stock them because as soon as you get one of these, that oxygen sensor in there, they have a lifetime, they have a shelf life. And so we usually order these on demand, and they come very quick. So we can get you one pretty quickly and be able to get you out the door with one. Again, like I mentioned earlier, this is the adapter, the flow restrictor. So you would plug this in, turn this on, make sure it's calibrated, and then this piece right here would get sealed. There's an O-ring here that would get sealed up against the tank valve, and you would flow just a light flow of air, whatever the mix is, through, and then you get your final oxygen content and helium content in the results. So that's the Solo analyzer. We're gonna glad to be carrying these guys. Love to let you put your hands on one if you want to stop in the shop. We have one that stays at the shop, and then obviously if you want a different model, we can order it. But that's the Divesoft Solo analyzer.